How's it going, guys, and welcome back to BL3's Forgotten, the series where I take a look at unused and not often talked about pieces of gear to determine whether or not they deserve to be remembered within the modern meta of the game or should be left behind and forgotten. And today we have shittier audio quality than usual, but aside from that, we are taking a look at the Peashooter. If you'd like to get the Peashooter for yourself, you're going to want to fast travel over to Sanctuary, make your way over to this wanted poster on this table where you can pick up the Blood from a Stone side quest. This is the first story mission from DLC 3, Bounty of Blood, and unfortunately it is the only way that you can get this done. But it's simple enough: go to Gehenna, go to Vestige, and complete the quest to get yourself the Peashooter. The Peashooter is a purple-rarity unique Jakob's pistol. It has completely locked parts, meaning every single one is the same, you will never be able to roll any elements, and you also cannot roll anointments. The Peashooter shoots splash damage projectiles which fire in a 2-round burst, and on crit will spawn 3 more projectiles that will swirl around through the air before dropping towards the ground. The secondary projectiles also deal splash damage. Now listen, I can't be the only one. Who up shooting they pee? Once again, Bounty of Blood is serving up dubs, delivering a beautiful fucking non-unique weapon that is not only incredibly fun to use, but pretty damn strong. The Peashooter was easily able to keep up on True Guardian Takedown, especially considering its complete lack of an anointment. It genuinely holds up to some more popular and pretty meta gear. Of course, the higher tier you start talking, it's gonna start falling off, but it is better than a hell of a lot of other legendaries. I think the biggest downside I can kind of say is that hitting those crits to get those extra pellets is incredibly important, and that can be a little bit difficult specifically on True Guardian Takedown, since Guardians and Necrobugs just have pretty small crit boxes and also move around a hell of a lot. It isn't completely useless if you're not hitting those crits, as just the base damage alone is still pretty damn good, especially on splash builds. It's just that when you're hitting those crits and landing those secondary projectiles, you start dealing a fuck ton of damage rather than good damage. At a note about actually hitting those secondary projectiles, I initially thought that this was like the head explosion but burst in a pistol, but it is a lot more like the lead sprinkler. These secondary projectiles aren't actually ricocheting out towards enemies, they're just falling up and then wiggling around and going down towards the ground, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but could definitely be considered a good thing, as this does mean that it interacts quite favorably with splash radius boosts, because it just increases your chances of actually hitting those secondary projectiles on your main target and more surrounding targets. And because it does already have a decent enough radius to do this pretty often, splash damage radius kind of just turns this into a little mini pocket nuke pistol. That being said though, this does have a pretty big inverse synergy with heavy rain, as it causes the same kind of problem as with the lead sprinkler. The increased projectile speed means that those secondary projectiles are going to fire outward further, which obviously makes it less likely to land on the main target, though this does provide more area coverage. Whereas this was just straight up a bad thing with the lead sprinkler because it had small splash radius. With enough splash radius boost, and because this does default to having a pretty big radius, it could be beneficial for larger groups. Just a couple other things to note. Obviously this is incredibly good with extra projectiles, things like Plain Dirty, Two Fang, or the Infernal Wish, as on crit you're going to get 3 projectiles for each of your primary projectiles. The Peashooter is also that weird kind of burst fire where it doesn't actually have a lockout between bursts, so it's very spammable and you can shoot it quite fast, which does allow you to just carpet bomb an entire area. And finally here, as usual with unanointable weapons, I did throw an anointment on this, and surprise surprise, anointments just make it stronger. This was already an incredibly good weapon without an anointment, so obviously with an anointment it's just going to be dealing more damage, and it really does just become an actual amazing weapon. Overall it just makes it feel far more consistent and lets it keep up with higher meta gear far easier. Only thing I would add with this is next 2 mags isn't that amazing, as this gun does blow through 2 magazines incredibly quickly even with mag size bonuses. But in short, the Peashooter just adds to the list of non-legendary uniques that Bounty of Blood just absolutely cooked upon. A vast majority of Borderlands 3's uniques that are actually worth using do come from this DLC, and the Peashooter is absolutely no exception. Fun as fuck, strong as hell, especially for not having an anointment, easily keeps up with a lot of other gear. It's just an all-around banger of a gun. But that's gonna about do it for this one. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, definitely consider leaving a like, comment, subscribe, all that. Down in the description will be a link to my Twitch channel where you can follow to be notified of when I go live, and just below that is a link to my Discord server where you can come and join and hang out. But with that all being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.